You ever feel like you're kinder in relationship, but not really? You're talking every day, sharing memes, maybe even hooking up, but when someone asks what you two are, you don't know what to say. You hesitate. She hesitates. There's no real answer. That's not just confusion, that's a situationship. And yeah, it sounds harmless, maybe even chill, right? Like a modern vibe. No pressure, no labels, just go with the flow. But let's be real, that flow is pulling you under. Because deep down, you want clarity, you want certainty, you want something real. But what you get is just enough to keep hoping, not enough to feel secure. She'll reply to your text eventually. She'll see you when it fits her schedule. She'll say she misses you, but still post like she's single. You're stuck in the middle, not fully in, not fully out, emotionally drained. But here's the part that hits the hardest. You keep trying, you show up, you check in, you plan things, you try to be the good guy. You think if you just love harder, stay patient, wait long enough, she'll choose you. But that's not love, that's emotional gambling. Every moment you stay, you're pulling chips from your piece, betting on a woman who isn't betting on you. And most men don't even realize it, because we've been taught to give, to prove we're worth it. To chase her attention, her validation, her approval. But when you're always available, when you're always giving, you stop being valuable. Harsh? Yeah, but real. See, in a situationship, one person is always more invested than the other. Always. And if you're watching this, chances are it's you. You feel it in your chest, in your sleep, in how distracted you get at work. You're not crazy. You're just caught in a game where the rules are invisible and you're losing peace while she's gaining power. But here's where things shift. You don't need to try harder. You need to detach. And I don't mean play hard to get or pull back to make her chase. No, I'm talking about truly returning to yourself. Because the moment you stop orbiting around her, the moment you stop measuring your worth based on her texts, her moods, her attention, something powerful happens. You stop bleeding energy. You start seeing things clearly. You start asking yourself, am I actually being chosen? Or am I just being used for comfort? That's when your emotions stop controlling you. That's when your mind wakes up. Detachment isn't cold, it's not cruel, it's clarity. It's saying, I deserve a woman who chooses me fully. It's saying, I refuse to keep giving to someone who doesn't even know what they want. Because situations, they're designed to drain the man who keeps hoping instead of leading. But you don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to wait for her to decide your value. You decide that, and once you do, you'll feel it. Peace, power, clarity. No more confusion, no more late-night overthinking, no more shrinking your heart just to stay close to someone who won't claim it. You were never meant to beg for love. You ever notice how easy it is to always be there? A quick reply, a voice note, a good morning text before your eyes are even fully open. Feels natural, right? Feels like that's what you're supposed to do when you like someone. But here's the ugly truth, man. Always being available makes you invisible. Let that sink in. You think your presence is helping you build connection. You think being consistent shows effort. But when it's not matched, when you're showing up more than she is, you're not bonding. You're bleeding. Because your energy is going out constantly and nothing's coming back in return. This doesn't make her evil, it just means she doesn't value it the way you do. Why? Because it's always there. There's no gap, no space, no contrast. And here's the kicker, value doesn't exist without space. Let me explain. If it rained gold every day, nobody would chase it. If every store had $1 million Rolex for $5, no one would respect it. Scarcity is what makes something desirable, and the same goes for your attention. But when you text her back in 0.2 seconds, when you like every story the second it's up, when you're free every weekend, what does that say? That you don't have much else going on, that your world is built around her availability. And that's when she starts pulling away. Not because she's mean, but because people don't chase what's easy to reach. It's not her fault, it's nature. And yeah, I get it. You want to show her you care. You want to build something real. You don't want her to feel ignored. But here's the problem. If you're always there, she doesn't get the chance to miss you. And if she never misses you, she never values you. Absence is what builds desire. Not games, not ghosting, but living your life. Being busy with your mission, being occupied with your time, creating space, not because you're trying to make her chase, but because you're chasing yourself. Your peace, your power, your potential, that's what creates the aura that pulls people toward you. See, the man who always texts first, he's chasing security. But the man who's grounded in purpose, he becomes the prize. So ask yourself this. When was the last time you were quiet? Not to make her react, but because you were actually locked in on something bigger. When was the last time your energy went into your vision instead of her inbox? When was the last time you disappeared, not to manipulate, but to evolve? Because if you don't create the gap, if you don't create the contrast, then your presence becomes noise, and a man with no mystery has no magnetism. So now you know, your constant presence isn't making her stay, it's making her look away. So what will you do? Keep flooding her phone? Or start becoming a man she has to wonder about? You've been told your whole life, give more, love harder, show her you care. And it sounds noble, right? But here's the twist no one tells you. Giving too much, too fast, too often will destroy the very thing you're trying to build. I know that sounds wild, but let's break it down. When a man gives everything up front, his time, his attention, his energy, his emotions, what happens? It feels nice at first, but then it starts to feel cheap. Not because your love is worthless, but because there's no process of earning it. Think about it. If someone handed you a championship trophy without making you play the game, would it still feel like a victory? No way. You wouldn't even want to keep it. Now apply that to dating. When a woman meets a man who just hands over all his focus before she's invested anything, she doesn't think, wow, he's amazing. She thinks, why is he giving so much so soon? And you know what that triggers? Doubt, suspicion, discomfort, because even she knows something's off. High-value things take time to earn, and when you skip that, when you give the relationship to her on a silver platter, you kill the thrill. It's like handing her the final scene of a movie in the first 5 minutes. There's no story left, no tension, no excitement. Just comfort, predictability, boredom. And here's the trap most men fall into. They think giving more, getting more, so they double down. More texts, more gifts, more favors, and the more they give, the less she feels, because it's not about quantity, it's about quality, it's about what's earned. It's about what comes with weight, and weight doesn't come from constant giving, it comes from intention, from boundaries, from self-worth. Look, women do want to receive, but only from a man who gives from a full life, not from emotional hunger. And here's the truth, if you're giving just to get something back, whether it's love, time, or attention, that's not giving. That's bargaining, and bargaining kills attraction because it smells like desperation. But when you stop chasing, when you stop overgiving, and instead start building your own value from within, now you're not a giver, you're a force. She'll feel it, she'll respect it, she'll crave it, because now she's not just receiving something, she's earning the attention of a rare man. When you make her the center, you lose yourself. Let's get straight to it. Most men today, they build their whole emotional life around her. Her smile, her replies, her moods, her attention, and the second it disappears, he crumbles. Why? Because his identity was never his own. His emotional strength was built on sand, on something outside of himself, and that's exactly where situations trap you. They feed you just enough connection to keep your hopes alive, but never enough to build real structure or meaning. It's like being fed crumbs when you're starving and thinking it's a meal. And the worst part, You start shrinking your world just to keep her in it. You stop chasing your goals. You stop spending time with your boys. You stop working on your craft. All your energy gets funneled into her. And for what? A half-baked connection that she can walk away from at any moment. That's not love. That's emotional dependence. Now let's be clear. This isn't about blaming women. This is about you choosing to make a woman your sun and placing yourself in orbit around her. But bro, if she's the center of your gravity, what happens when she pulls away? You spin out. You panic. You beg. You try to get the vibe back. You rewatch old conversations. You wonder what you did wrong. But here's the thing. You didn't lose her. You lost yourself first. You gave away your center. And guess what? Women can feel it. They can feel when a man is orbiting them instead of standing still and strong in his own path. And let me drop this truth. A woman doesn't want to be your life. She wants to be part of your life, a life that's already moving, growing, expanding. She wants to enter your world, not be the entire world, because when you make her the mission, she starts to feel pressure. And pressure doesn't create passion, it creates distance. So what's the shift? You need to build your gravity. That means your purpose, your routines, your vision, your peace. She needs to feel that when she's with you, she's stepping into something bigger, something anchored, not floating in confusion. That's how you flip the dynamic. That's how you become magnetic without trying. You stop orbiting and you let her orbit you. Your attention is a currency. Stop spending it carelessly. Listen, there's something you probably don't realize. Every second you focus on her, every late-night text, every overanalyzed emoji she sends, every Instagram story you reply to, you're paying, not with money, but with something even more powerful, your attention. And guess what? Attention is currency, and you're spending it like you've got $1 billion in the bank. But bro, you don't. You have a limited reserve of energy, focus and drive. And if you're always pouring it into women, distractions and pointless what-ifs, you're broke where it matters most. Here's the thing, no one told you. What you focus on grows. So if you keep focusing on women who barely reciprocate, your obsession with them grows. But if you focused on building your skills, your mind, your body, your mission, that would grow too. But most men don't get this. They'll send 20 texts in a row trying to be seen. They'll wait all day just to get a one-word reply, and then they'll replay it in their head like it's a Shakespeare play. Bruh, this is how you waste your mental energy and kill your own masculine power. And here's what's worse. She knows. She knows when you're too available, too eager, too ready to give all your attention for nothing in return. And you know what happens when someone always gets something for free? They don't value it, because anything that's always there loses weight, it loses depth, it loses impact. Now, I'm not saying you ignore people, I'm saying you value yourself first. If your attention was cash, you'd want a return on it, right? So ask yourself, what are you getting back? Is she making your life better, helping you grow, respecting your presence? If not, you're being drained. You're the one handing over power, and she's just receiving it. It's not her fault, it's how dynamics work. People chase what's scarce, people value what costs them something. So how do you flip the script? Simple, you stop throwing your attention out like candy. You invest it into things that build your future. Books, business, fitness, purpose, men's groups, legacy. You train your brain to hold energy instead of leaking it into every notification bubble that pops up. Because once you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your worth. You're no longer chasing, you're choosing. And trust me, women feel that shift. When your attention is no longer free, it becomes powerful, it becomes rare, it becomes attractive. Stop asking for clarity. Start living with certainty. Let me ask you something that might sting a little. Why are you waiting on her to define what you already feel? Why are you stuck in limbo, waiting for a label, waiting for her to say what you guys are, waiting for her to make the next move? You're a man. You weren't built to wait, You were built to decide. Situationships thrive on your hesitation. They feed off your silence. They grow in the fog where nothing is clear and everything is maybe, but you know what kills the fog? Certainty. Not from her, but from you. See, clarity isn't something she gives you, it's something you create for yourself. Yet so many men waste years, literally years, sitting in the gray zone, hoping one day she'll say, "I'm ready now. I've made up my mind, I want you." But that day rarely comes. Why? Because the uncertainty works for her. She gets your attention, your energy, your affection, without the commitment. Meanwhile, you get anxiety, confusion, and mental loops at 2 a.m. So here's the shift. You stop needing her answer because you've already made yours. You decide what you want. You decide what your standards are. You decide what you will and won't tolerate. And once you've made that decision, you don't sit around waiting. You move. You walk away from the unclear. You make space for the aligned. Because indecision is the enemy of masculine strength. And let's be real, the more you hesitate, the more power you leak. Uncertainty breeds neediness. Neediness kills respect. And once respect is gone, attraction dies with it. But when you live with certainty, you give off a different energy. You're no longer reactive, you're directive. You don't need a green light from her. You are the green light. That doesn't mean being cold, it means being centered. You're not desperate for answers because you already carry your truth. And that truth says, I'm not here to be a placeholder. I don't dance in confusion. I lead, even if that means walking alone. You don't just drift into meaning. You move with meaning. You don't just want something real. So if she's not ready, that's fine. But you're not going to shrink your clarity to match her confusion. That's not strength. That's self-betrayal. Let her figure her life out without you as her emotional safety net. Meanwhile, you stay in motion, with your head clear, your standards high, and your time respected, because certainty isn't given, it's chosen, and when you live that way, you attract peace, direction, power. If it's not growing you, it's draining you. Here's a hard truth most men ignore. You're either becoming stronger or you're being slowly drained. There's no neutral. That girl you're constantly texting but never fully with, that may be something that never becomes something real. That almost love that never shows up when you need it. Yeah, that's not harmless. It's not just wasting your time, it's stealing your energy, your focus, your power as a man. Let's break this down. Every day, your mind only has so much bandwidth, and you're giving a big chunk of it to someone who gives you crumbs, to someone who leaves you overthinking, to someone who makes you doubt your worth just by being unclear. And here's the problem. While you're busy waiting for her to text back, you're not building your business, you're not working on your body, you're not planning your next move. You're not chasing the mission that makes you magnetic in the first place, because your emotional battery is being drained. Slowly, silently. Situationships are emotional leeches. They look soft, maybe even sweet, but they're sucking you dry. You start waking up tired, even though you slept. You feel cloudy, even though there's no stress at work. You can't focus, can't create, can't push forward with force. Why? Because your inner world is being hijacked. Your masculine drive is being paused. And all for what? For a connection that's never concrete? For a fantasy that never becomes real? For someone who gets all your emotional investment without offering clarity, consistency, or commitment? That's not love. That's a distraction, and every distraction costs something. So ask yourself, what is this situationship costing you? Your energy, your mental peace, your standards, your time? The man who becomes unstoppable in life, he's not the one who has everything figured out. He's the one who protects his energy. He treats it like gold. He doesn't hand it out like candy. He doesn't give full access passes to someone who's only half in, because he knows if it's not growing him, it's draining him, and if it's draining him, it's gotta go. This is how you reclaim power in silence. You don't beg, you don't chase. You just remove yourself like a man with a vision. No yelling, no drama, just discipline. You say, if this isn't building me, it doesn't belong with me. Simple, direct, stoic. Let your energy be expensive. Let your peace be priceless, because once you get your energy back, everything else in your life starts leveling up. Your body, your income, your mindset, your future. So I'll leave you with this. Is this situationship growing you, or slowly draining the man you're meant to be? If you're always available, you're never valuable. Let's rip the band-aid off. Being constantly available is the fastest way to kill your value. You think being there every time she calls, replying in seconds, dropping your plans just in case she wants to hang, is showing loyalty? No, it's showing lack of boundaries. It's showing you've got nothing more powerful going on than waiting on her, and she feels it. Deep down, she may not say it, but she senses it. The man who's always there starts to feel invisible. Think about this. A diamond's value comes from its rarity, from how hard it is to get, from how it resists being accessed by everyone. But if you can pick it up anytime, anywhere, it stops being a treasure. It becomes ordinary. And women, like anyone, don't crave ordinary. Here's where you're bleeding power in a situationship. You're showing up too much. Texting first, texting again when she doesn't reply, following up, waiting on her green light to feel happy. And worst of all, you're letting her schedule you. She says maybe later, and you hold your day open. She cancels last minute, and you smile and say it's okay. No, it's not okay. Because with every little compromise, you're teaching her, my time isn't valuable, my presence is free. My energy can be taken for granted, and that kills polarity, that kills desire, that kills your image as a man worth chasing. You see, the moment you stop being selective, you stop being respected. Want to flip the script? Build a life so full, so purposeful, so disciplined, that you are the one who has limited access. You train, you create, you move with mission. You're not around, you're ascending. And if she wants a piece of your time, she has to earn it, because you're not waiting around for crumbs, you're building a feast. You want to be magnetic, be rare, be that man who's not just there, but who's going somewhere. The man who values his own time so much that he doesn't offer it cheaply to people who don't value it. This isn't about playing games, this is about having self-respect, because when you honor your time, others will too. So next time she hits you with "Hey stranger" after days of silence, don't rush, don't break your routine, don't pause your world. Let her feel your absence. Let her remember you're not a backup plan. You're a man with a blueprint. A man who's building, a man who's rising, a man who's not available for nonsense. The trap of emotional begging. Why needing her validation makes you powerless. Let's get brutally honest. Every time you look to her for emotional reassurance, you lose power. Not because she's evil, not because she's trying to control you, but because you gave her the steering wheel to your self-worth. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt anxious when she didn't reply fast enough? Have you ever stared at your phone, hoping she'd double text? Have you ever changed your mood just because she seemed cold or distant? That's not love. That's emotional begging. And it's the most silent, dangerous trap for men in situationships. Because here's the truth. The more you need her to validate you, the less she values you. It's wild, right? You think being emotionally open, constantly checking in and seeking closeness will make her feel secure. But it does the opposite. She feels your emotional dependence and her attraction starts to fade. You become predictable, too available, too eager for approval, not a rock, not a storm walker, but a man seeking shelter in her attention. That's the root problem. You've been taught that if you love hard enough, give endlessly, prove you're good enough, she'll finally choose you. But in reality, that mindset screams, I don't choose myself. And people follow your lead. If you don't value yourself first, why should she? Let me hit you with something deeper. When your emotions are tied to her actions, you've outsourced your peace. You've made your happiness her job. And that's a burden, not a turn-on. Women want to feel your depth. Yes, but they also want to feel your center, your ability to stand still when things shake, your strength to hold frame when things shift, your calm when the world storms. She doesn't want a man who chases her for emotional scraps. She wants a man who can feed his own soul, with or without her. So how do you break the begging pattern? You reconnect with yourself. You build emotional discipline. You stop seeking closure and start creating clarity. You stop needing her to prove anything and start proving to yourself that you're already enough. Because the most dangerous man in the room is the one who doesn't need your approval to feel worthy. He's already chosen himself. And ironically, that's the man women chase. So now I ask you, are you still begging for her validation, or are you becoming the man who validates his own soul? Why a man on a mission is irresistible? Let me ask you this. Why do women fall hardest for the men who seem like they have no time for them? Why is it that the guy who's always busy, always focused, always moving, becomes the one she can't stop thinking about? It's not because he's playing games, it's because he's not making her his main mission. And that changes everything. See, most men in situations fall into one deadly pattern. They revolve around her. Her schedule, her mood, her availability. Every move they make is secretly for her. But the man she craves, he's not revolving around anyone. He's building his empire. He's unavailable, not because he's ignoring her, but because he's occupied with something greater than her. That's magnetic. That's rare. That's what makes her chase. Why? Because it flips the emotional equation. When you're always there, always responding, always accessible, your energy becomes expected. But when your attention is scarce, it becomes valuable. And when you give her a glimpse of your world, a moment of your presence, she feels something priceless. She feels chosen. That feeling, it's powerful. But here's the twist. She only feels that way when your life is bigger than her. You must be building something, whether it's your career, your fitness, your business, your passion, your legacy. Because when a man has a mission, his vibe changes. He moves different. He talks different. He doesn't cling. He commands. He doesn't beg. He builds. She senses his momentum and wants to be part of it. So if you're stuck in a situationship, unsure where you stand, always wondering what she wants, shift the focus. Ask yourself, Voltes pultives. What am I building? What would I be doing right now if I wasn't chasing her? Where do I need to become unavailable so my life becomes undeniable? Because here's the truth. The man who makes himself unavailable for nonsense becomes available for greatness. And in that space, where you stop orbiting her and start orbiting your purpose, she feels the shift. And when she feels it, she either levels up to match your frequency, or she fades and you keep rising. Either way, you win. So I'll leave you with this final question. Are you ready to stop being emotionally available for distractions and start being ruthlessly committed to your mission?